Hello, my name is Birkinger. I'm a consultant at Oracle, and today I want to take you with me into a deep dive of our common data environment and talk explicitly about model coordination within the Oracle Aconex CDE. Before we go into a live demo, I want to start with some of the principles of the Aconex common data environment. First of all, we believe in standards. So the Aconex common data environment is aligned with common standards from the industry and helps teams to collaborate project-wide. So on top of it, there is ISO 19650. And according to ISO 19650, common data environment will enable a project to build an accurate and well-structured project information model. The ISO therefore defines a common data environment more as a concept. And Aconex is of course compliant to the ISO 19650. This can be shown on some examples as the ISO 19650, for example, says the CDE shall enable a controlled access at an information container level. So that's exactly what we have, controlled access to all the relevant data. The CDE shall further facilitate each information container to be managed through the use of metadata. So that's the main principle of Aconex. We are using metadata everywhere. Third, the CDE shall enable the ability for information containers to transition between states. So of course, things like work in progress, shared or published or archived should be shown on the CDE, which we do. And the last example, the CDE shall facilitate the transition from one state to another through an approval and authorization process. So that's one of our main principles. We work with processes. Now below the ISO 19650, there is also the DIN-SPEC 91391. And there it's stated the CDE is an internet-based platform for the management of processes and information during the whole life cycle of a building. So now the ISO 19650 as on top sets the condition for the DIN-SPEC. And the DIN-SPEC is about the components and the function sets of a CDE. So it gives help for all people and for clients to show them exactly what should be part of a CDE and what a CDE is about from a technical perspective. And Aconex, of course, fulfills all requirements of the DIN-SPEC. Now, if we talk precisely about the Aconex common data environment, Aconex is a single source of information. All the project information is in one place. It's about data management. So it's not only about models, but it's rather a combination of models, documents, communication, especially processes and decisions. So everything on a project stored in one place, not in separated silos. Aconex is about fair access to data. So we have a neutral platform with access to all the relevant data for everybody at any time. And the Aconex CDE is supporting the whole building lifecycle, from plan, design, construction, and the operation of a building. Everything is stored in one place on the Aconex CDE. Now, if we dive deeper and talk about the common data environment and the BIM functionality in Aconex, it's about BIM model coordination, which is mainly structured in three parts. First is the visualization of the BIM federated model. So you will see later in the live demo that, of course, all partial models can be uploaded on Aconex, stored with its metadata, and pushed through several revisions and transmitted to other organizations, and then can be opened within a viewer where you have the possibility to navigate within a model, to section and measure in a model. And I would call it a BIM for everyone. So for everybody on the project, for the client, for the customer, everybody can access the model information there without special BIM knowledge, without some extra plugins or extra software. And the model viewer can show IFC models, but Revit models as well. Secondly, it's about the linking of documents and processes from the 3D model. So we use the 3D information to save time and especially add some context to our communication. Okay. And third is about the issue management, which is included in Aconex model coordination. There's a possibility to raise issues, but also especially to manage issues through the use of plugins. So we are using and stick to the BCF format. We are supporting BCF 3.0, by the way. And we have plugins to Revit, Navisworks, and Solibri. and then can really have an issue management and manage issues fluently between those tools and the Aconex CDE. And this is something I will show you in the live demo in a minute. Before we go to the live demo, I want to show you one example of an issue coordination process and how this can be processed within Aconex. So on the left-hand side, you see different authoring tools where different partial models like the architectural model, structural model, or the MEP model are created. Now those models then can be distributed to the Oracle Aconex CDE either with export and import or with the use of plugins. And then in Aconex, of course, you can share those models, but you can also federate those models and process different model revisions. Now, then there is a data exchange to tools like Solibri and Navisworks to run a clash test, for example, and simply identify issues. And those issues, with the help of the BCF format, can then distributed and pushed back to the Oracle Aconex CDE, where these issues get reviewed and a coordination meeting can be held directly in the common data environment. The outcome of that coordination meeting is that those resolutions are agreed and the issues are assigned to different people and go back to their authoring tools where they change the parts in the model, update the model, and the whole process starts over and over again. So now let's go into the live demo and dive deeper into the Aconex common data environment model coordination. Now, within the Aconex common data environment, we have, of course, all the information containers and all documents listed according with all its metadata, with different revision, with different states and different statuses. Now, within all those information containers, and today we still need some 2D drawings as well, but in this example, we want to focus on the 3D models. Now you can see that we have several 3D models stored on the Aconex CDE. There are IFC models, but Revit models as well. And what I want to focus on right now and show you in the demo is how we can easily open those models and federate those partial models within the model viewer. So let's go to the Aconex model viewer. We call that Explore Pro, where we can now easily select and open different partial models, like the mechanical model, together with the structural model, and see both together in one part. Of course, there's also the possibility to store and save viewpoints in here. So whenever a viewpoint is stored and opened, people can jump directly to that stored view. Here we go. Now on the right-hand side, you see the structure of the different IFC models, the architectural model, the mechanical model, and the structural model, which are loaded in the viewer right now. And now you have all the possibilities of a viewer. So for example, you can zoom in with your mouse, use your right mouse button to zoom to selected objects, make things transparent, or even hide them in the viewer. With the navigation bar, you have the possibility either to choose between the perspective or the orthogonal view, or even use the walkthrough mode and even go and plug your VR glasses and go into the model with virtual reality. There are some standard camera views which you can select in here, but now let's switch to the next point, which is sectioning. So the Aconex CDE within the viewer gives you the possibility to add sections into your models, and that's quite easy. You simply select, for example, the facade on here, and just move your mouse to add a section to your model. Scroll a bit around, move in, and get a completely different view of your model. There's also the possibility to add sections and measurements to your model. So let's choose this measurement tool and then choose either the distance, plane to plane, or a multi-point measurement. So in my example, I will choose the plane to plane, select those two objects, like this, for example. And then I can measure between those objects, which is 8 meters, 53 centimeters. And now it comes to the point where I can make my communication a bit easier and more meaningful with the help of the 3D information for the participants of my message. So what I can do now, I can start a mail directly from the viewer. So what you can see is that a screenshot which can be marked up is created automatically. So I can go in here, add some annotations, add an error, for example, and in the next step, choose one of the Aconex common data environment mail processes. One of those mail processes could be a request for information. And this is like a standard mail, but add some more information. First of all, I want to send it to somebody. This is my architect. I got a question according to the distance. Is the distance of the cooling tower sufficient? I can add some other metadata, like is there a cost impact? No, in my case. Is there a schedule impact? Yes. And what's the priority of my question? These are all informations people can later report and filter on. There's a screenshot automatically attached. And the good thing about it is that this recipient of my request for information then will also receive a viewpoint. So he can click on that viewpoint and jump directly to the same view that I have, and hopefully will not have as many questions as before, because he now sees exactly what I see and will be able to answer this RFI much more easier than before. Here we go. So we send it out, and as you can see, if I select that object, there are different documents and also mails linked to that object. So I could, for example, jump in and look at the properties of my object. Those are the properties coming from the IFC model. But I can also see that somebody has linked some documents in here, like a list schedule, and I can download that directly here from the model viewer. But I will also see the linked mails, and I can open the linked mails directly from here. So if I open that RFI, I will jump back to the RFI you have seen before with the screenshot attached, and of course also the model viewpoint, which will bring me directly to the same viewpoint that I have seen. Now, within the Aconex common data environment, we also have a powerful possibility to manage our issues in the BCF format. So what I opened in here is within the model section, there is a dashboard. And the dashboard, as you can see, gives you a graphical overview of all your issues according to different filters within your project. And I created some of my issue sets personally. So for example, one where I checked all the mechanical partial model versus the structural partial model, and where I can assign all my clashes that I found in there. So let's view those issues. Here we are. So we have an issue register where all those issues with different statuses are listed within the system. Now, how do you get those issues into Aconex? I will show you first of all how this is done via Navisworks, and later also how this can be done via Solibri. Well, let's switch to Navisworks. I've loaded my models in Navisworks, and in Navisworks, I started the clash detection to check the mechanical versus the structural model, and I found a lot of clashes in here. So what I do next, I connected the Oracle Aconex plugin with my user credentials, and what I want to do right now is I want to add issues from my clash test onto Aconex directly. So I select the clash test. I select next which clashes I want to synchronize with Aconex. Let's take this one and that one. You can see them in the background, by the way. And those get now created on Aconex. But I have to add some more information as well. I can do that. First of all, the assignee, for example, who should be assigned to those issues. It's my architect. Next, the due date. When should these issues be solved? End of that week. And last but not least, the priority. Let's say those have a low priority. I also can directly within Navisworks assign it to one of my issue sets. Can also create those issue sets directly in Navisworks. Let's say those are part of the mechanical versus structural test. And last but not least, I can attach different models from Aconex directly to those issues, the mechanical and the structural model. Click on publish, and that's done. Those two issues now have been published to Aconex. Now, back in Aconex, if we go to the dashboard, we will see that the dashboard has now 12 open issues. And if we go back to the issue section, we will see all those issues directly here in Aconex, and we can manage them. On the left-hand side, we see all the issues. On the middle column, we see all the details to that issue. So who has created the issue? When has it been created? What's the due date? What's the priority? And who has been assigned to it? We also see all the viewpoints that have been created in our Navisworks tool. And of course, we see the whole activity and can see exactly what has happened when, who has created the issue, to whom has it been assigned, and who has worked with it. We also see the related models, and we have the possibility to start some processes from here. But that's going to be the next step. On the right-hand side, we see the snapshot from Navisworks. And here at the bottom right, we see the connected models within Aconex. So we can move our array in our models like we did before in the model viewer and generate a different view. Now, the person who has been assigned to those issues can also start some processes from here. So he can start, like before, an RFI process if he likes, start a request for information, send it to another person. Some more information needed, add the metadata, and just send out the RFI. So that RFI now is also stored within that issue in the Aconex CDE issue register and can be worked on. We can do the coordination meeting along with that list, and everybody who has access to Aconex can work directly here within the system, change the status, go back to the authoring tool, change the model, and update the model within Aconex. That's how it's done within Navisworks. Next, I will show you the connection to Solibri. Now, I've opened Solibri Office, and within Solibri Office, I changed to the BCF Live connector. And once connected to the Oracle Aconex CDE, I have now direct and live access to all my issues, as you have seen in the Aconex platform before. I can manage those issues, but of course, I can also create new issues directly from Solibri and get them pushed to Aconex. So let's do that manually. You see, I've filtered my models here on the right-hand side, and I want to create a new issue in here. Give it a title. Move the type. I get the screenshot created. I can add more screenshots if I like. And I can also give it a status. Let's say this one is still open. It's an error. It's a high priority. Should be done until the beginning of November and should be assigned to somebody. Let's say myself, and I can change that in Aconex later. That's it. Now, if I've done that, I simply click on that button, and this is now created, synchronized, and will be available in Aconex shortly. Here we go. So it's error, and it's number 19. We switch back to Aconex, click on the refresh button. We will see that exactly. So it shows up in here. We can also add some models if we like. So again, let's take the structural and the mechanical model and save it. Then we will see that viewpoint directly, once from Solibri and on the other page from Aconex. Now, within the live demo of the deep dive CDE, you have seen how easy it is in the Aconex Common Data environment to manage your issues with the help of open standards like BCF and plugins to major systems and other tools, which are very easy to use and easy to adopt. Coming to the conclusion, the Aconex Common Data environment supports the whole building lifecycle of your project. It builds trust through the principle of neutrality, which is essential. It isn't a single source of truth on a project, so no siloed data, everything in one place. It supports specific processes which are necessary on your project, and it's very easy to use and fast to adopt for your project team. Thanks for everybody for your time.